Hey everyone, Chris here, the RC Geek, coming to you from the shop, and it is time to finish up our series on the Legend Hobby A-1 Skyraider. This is an amazing model. It looks fantastic out of the box. It's a nice big 86-inch wingspan, and it flies amazing. The way that it flies and presents, much like the full-size airplane. It's nice and responsive on the controls, and it's just cool. You know, we went through, I gave you guys an assembly review. We went through and did a full repaint and weathering video, so I wanted to finish it up and give you guys kind of my information on how I set the model up. Now, in terms of the model itself, I've got the Robart Air Retracts in here. I do recommend those. They work beautifully. They're extremely reliable, and they hold air for weeks, if not months. The airplane's been sitting for at least a month now, and it still has air in the system. Be sure to check my assembly video on how I did all of that. For the power system, I've got a Scorpion 5535 160 kV motor, powered by 12 cells, 7,000 milliamp hour batteries, and that's made by two Spectrum 6S Smart 7000 packs wired together in series. And then I've got a Bila 2014 4-blade prop. And that power system pulls this airplane perfectly. It's like the perfect amount of power. It's got great verticals. It's got great speed. And so it really helps. And it's got a nice sound to it as well. I do have a sound system in the airframe as well, which you'll hear in the flight videos. For the servos, I'm using the high-tech 645s. And so I went for the digitals on all of the primary flight controls, so ailerons, rudder, elevator, and then I'm using analogs on like the flaps, the retracts, things of that sort. For the receiver, I've got a Spectrum PowerSafe receiver in here, and that's powered by two 2S Life batteries, 3,000 milliamp hour apiece. All model airplanes have an expiration date, but having that redundancy on the receiver is highly recommended. The other thing is I've got a full bomb drop capability. You can see I've got the full stores on the airplane. There are payload releases in each of the larger pylons here. And so I cover the installation of those in my assembly review, and I've got a whole assortment of 3D printed bombs, and I cover that in my weathering video. I can actually drop the centerline tank if I choose, and so having that capability has been a whole lot of fun. With all of that said, let's talk through some of the setup, the CG and all of that. For the CG itself, there's a fairly wide range provided in the manual, and I ended up setting my CG at the forward location, which equates to 125 millimeters as measured from the wing root leading edge aft. My power system batteries are pushed all the way forward in the hatch area, and then I have my receiver batteries velcroed on top as well. And that gave the CG perfectly. I didn't have to add any additional weight or anything like that. There probably is some room to move that CG back, but I've been flying it there and I've been really happy with it. Interestingly enough, there is a bulkhead inside the fuselage that runs all the way across through the fuselage itself that aligns almost exactly on where that CG location is. So to CG the airplane, I actually simply just removed the hatch and picked up the airframe from that bulkhead, and it was slightly nose down. All right, so you can see in the video, that's how I CG'd the airplane. Worked out beautifully, and I've stuck with it since then. Now, in terms of the controls, I like to set up multiple rates, and I like to have individual rates available to me for aileron and elevator. I settled on my mid rate for the ailerons and my low rate for the elevator, and so for the ailerons, 15 millimeters up and down with 5% expo. For the elevator, 12 millimeters up and down with 6% expo. And then for the rudder, I've got 30 millimeters left to right with 25% expo. And this airplane will actually do a beautiful knife edge. Super easy with minimal coupling. For the flaps, I'm at 30 millimeters at the partial flap and 60 millimeters at full flap. And there's no elevator to flap mix required at all, which is really nice and really simplifies things. Flying the airplane, I can't say enough good things about how this airplane flies. It honestly is one of the best flying warbirds that I have flown. All the scale maneuvers you want to throw at it, it does beautifully and it looks great doing it. The airplane has a nice wide gear stance, so as a result, ground handling is quite easy, especially for a tail dragger warbird. I haven't experienced any tendency for ground looping at all. The tail remains nice and responsive through the transition from the tail flying down to the ground, and so as a result, it's really easy to keep it on track, tracking straight down the runway, which is a huge benefit. Also on the takeoff, the airplane tracks really nicely. You do want to, with that big prop on the front, kind of advance that throttle slowly, read and react accordingly, but the airplane is extremely responsive through the entire takeoff. Maneuvering in the air, loops, rolls, Immelman splits, any kind of military type maneuvers the airplane excels at, and it looks, again, just like the full-size maneuvering around. Now, interestingly enough, the airplane flies beautifully clean. It's nice and quick. It's got great performance, but with the external stores, there wasn't really a huge difference in the performance. Maybe a slight reduction in the top end speed, but vertical performance was virtually unchanged. I didn't notice any difference. It is worth noting, though, with the centerline tank, I did need some additional up elevator trim. It was about 4 to 6 clicks of up elevator needed. So that is something to keep in mind if you plan to fly with the tanks on. You will likely have to add some additional trim to it. I will say, the airplane looked great flying around clean, but the stores totally changed the look of the airplane in flight. It just made it look right. A Skyraider, especially that operated in Vietnam, was loaded for bear. And so seeing it flying around with the full stores and having the bomb drop capability is a whole lot of fun to have as an option. All right, so let's give you guys the clean flight, followed by the full stores flight with the bomb drop, and then we'll come back. We'll wrap this up. Decent work.
Where's the smoke?
I didn't time that right.
I never could get my Banggood one to time right either.
I got to work on my timing. All right, so let's start putting some bombs on this thing. Then we'll film another flight for you.
Remaining 4 minutes.
Bombs away.
I tried to,
There's no wind today.
well, there's a little bit, but I think the second one you're gonna second person. Pushers do.
I got lucky. All right, guys, so there we have the Legend Hobby A-1 Skyraider. This is, without a doubt, my favorite airplane right now. I would fly it every weekend if I could. That being said, I really can't say enough good things about the model. It goes together nicely. It flies wonderfully. It's extremely fun. I love the looks of the Skyraider. They've characterized it perfectly on the airplane. And so, yeah. It's an awesome model. That completes our series on the Skyraider. I am going to get a whole bunch of flying in with this model. I can't wait to take it out to some events. Hopefully, with it being 2021, we can get some events happening again because they were all canceled last year. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to follow along on social media at the RC Geek. Subscribe. Be sure to check out legendhobby.com. They've got a lot of really cool stuff, including this airplane. There's a link down in the description. Thanks again, and until next time, I'll see you at the field.